fun thing with this grid shapes that you can play with the scale of these characters, which give you some very interesting shapes. And in order to generate that, we're going to put in an extra instancing value for the scale section. So we're going to do that here in the convert job, and it's going to be merged in here. So we'll just start with a new container. Call this one texture. Give this a global shortcut, texture. Okay. And what I'd like to do is I would like to generate some kind of texture. We can use a ramp for this. And looking at the black and white values of this texture and control the scale of these different characters. So first of all, this ramp resolution needs to line up with the rows and columns of the grid. We can access that in here. This null or the rows and columns of this grid sub. Give this one a up shortcut grid so we can access it a little bit easier. Back to the texture, the ramp, up, grid, up. I believe it was the first null, first channel, no. The second, okay, fair enough. Okay, for the height as well. Set this one to nearest pixel. So now you see that every pixel is corresponding with the grid in this one. And I would like to have the black values to be 0, the white values to be 1 as a scale value for every instances. Close it up with a null to make it a little bit interesting. I think I'm going to animate the face of this ramp. I'd use a simple LFO for that one. A little bit slower. Maybe if it's circular, yeah, this might be interesting. Okay, I'm going to convert these pixel values to job values with a top to job. and I need the full image. So now 400 pixel RGB data is coming from this top to chop operator. And I need to sequence this. And I think I'm only going to need the R value. Because it's just 0 and 1 what we need, so going to rename this one to scale X. Okay. Going to sequence this one with a shuffle. Sequence all channels. Yeah. So you see 361 90 by 90. That's not right. Because we had to compensate the boundary of the grid with a 1, so I think I'm going to change this one to grid 1 goal. Okay. Just check what it is. Goals, grid 1. Okay. I believed I did it correctly. Grid up, grid 1 calls. Oh yeah, of course. Bar.calls. Same values, but whatever, just call rows. Yeah, 400 samples. Somehow change the name to SX0. Just wanted to have SX as a name, so just put a rename behind it. Close it up with a null. And also an exit out. Here. Okay. So if you put this one in here, and we're going to our geometry component, take the SX, SX. You see that's already sort of working, but I was expecting to see the circle shape in here, and that has probably something to do with the speed parameter. You see that it's sort of shifting. Well, if we're going to shift the shape, we're going to need to shift the ramp as well. I think I'm going to do that with a shift shop as well. So I put a shift in here. And when you're shifting sequence channels, always put an extend in here and set that one to cycle. Otherwise, it will just go to 0. I can demonstrate that. You see. So we have to set this one to cycle. So we're going to shift it now. You see that it's looping. So that's off. We have to let this offset correspond with the speed values. It's the 0.9. Oh. So we select upper level 0.9. And if we drive the offset with this value, you see that it's changing, but somehow it's still not lining up correctly. Maybe if we set this one back to 19. Okay, yeah, that was it. Okay. I think the effect is more noticeable with a longer sentence. So we'll just go crazy. Just use 1,000 characters and see what happens. Go. Okay. That's quite fun. Slow it down. Just stop it. Let's see if we change this. You can get some really interesting effects with this approach. Horizontal. Radial. So now you can input a texture with black and white values and adjust the scale of the instance, the scale per instance. So you can go all crazy with this one. So you can even use a text as long as it has the same resolution as this one. 32 by 32. Okay. Let's try something. Text stuff. A little bit smaller. Nearest pixel. Nearest pixel. I think if we are inputting it in here, you see that it's already giving an effect. I'm changing the background color And let's say if we put a level in here, set this one to nearest pixel as well. And if we use this LFO to, for instance, control the invert, change the offset. I think it's becoming more noticeable with even more characters, so let's double it to 1000. Okay. Text stuff. Use another one. Arial black. Something like. Do we have courier? Yeah. Or just put in a smiley face. Let's see how that works. Just play with it. Now a flip. Flip, 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 flip. The other one. As long as it has black and white values, you can go all crazy with this approach. But I think I like this one personally a little bit better. And I can imagine you don't want this effect all the time, so I'm probably going to make a button next to this one to switch this effect on and off. So we're just going to add another one next to this. So we probably need to generate an extra container because this is all aligned from top to bottom. And we want this section to be aligned from left to right, so just put this one in a new container. This one is a little bit big. Let's see, the switch was 50 high, if I'm not mistaken. Change the align order. Yep. I think I'm just going to copy this one. Yep, there's that global up shortcut thing again. Let's call this button animate switch. Okay. what did we animate? The scale. Okay. We don't need a count for this one because it's only on and off. Okay. What happened here? They overlap, I think. Yeah. Children, align order, left to right. Spacing, let's say 5. Let's see. I think I'm going to put in some kind of constant value in here with a switch in between. So when I turn the switch off, it's looking at a constant value. So just pick a pattern, constant, the length, well, take this top tool, or no, just take the shift, doesn't really matter actually, up, shift 1, num samples, okay. One, yeah. So if I'm switching this, it's off. Yeah. We want this to be the other way around, so 0 is off. So switch the input order. Back to our UI. Texture, I believe. I think this one was already called switch, so maybe this is already working. No. I think, yeah, this one is called index. Yeah, that's also a thing. This one needs to be a toggle switch on, off, okay. Okay. So that for the grid animation shape, I think I'm going to put in a sentence a little bit shorter again. Let's say 200. So every shape looks better with different values. Personally like this one. So now our noise, some kind of error. Let's see what happened. SX could not be found. Okay. And I know why. Because this pattern isn't actually called SX. So now the error is gone. This one's working, this one's working. The noise is acting a little bit weird right now. Why is that? Okay, let's see. This one is still okay. Something interesting going on here. 2000. Why is this still 2000? Okay, just have to press the go button. Okay. The next animation shape is something we're going to generate in a different program. I'm going to use Blender for that one. First I'm going to create a container and open up Blender. Oh, there it is. Okay. Select everything with A, X to delete. This is Blender, I believe this one is version 2.81. And you probably have to go to Edit, Preferences. In the add-ons section, there's something that's called Extra Objects. Make sure you enable these, because we're going to generate a couple of different geometries and export this one to FBX and see what this will do as an animation shape in Touchdesigner. So Shift A, you go to Curve. You have a lot of different curves, and for this example we're going to use a knot. So you see this is our shape, and with this section you have a lot of presets where you can change the revolutions or the spins. You can go all crazy with this. Couple of presets. Whoa, this one is very interesting. We'll just use this one. The downside of this approach is that this geometry is sort of stuck. So you can't make it dynamic like with the examples, with the noise, the grid, and the snake shape. So you have to make sure that you don't exceed the amount of primitives you're going to generate with this approach. And the amount of primitives, we're just going to decrease the bevel resolution. Maybe 0 is already well. The thing is, if I'm going to collapse this shape, because it's a curve, so if I'm going to edit mode, I have pie menus enabled, but if you don't have that, you can access edit mode here, object mode, edit mode. You see that it's still curves and we want this to be primitives. So if you go to object mode, you press space so you can search for convert to. I would use mesh from curve. So now if we go to edit mode, you see that you generated a lot of primitives, and that is probably a bit too much. So if you look at the right corner in here, you see that it's already exceeded 20,000. And I think that's a little bit too much. So I'm going to start over, delete this one, Shift A again, curve, knots, torsion knot. I think I have to, if I check this preset again, there's some kind of, I have to set this one to poly. Okay. Well, let's try exporting it now, converting it now. Yeah, this already looks a little bit better. We'll just go for this one. So if you converted this one to a mesh and you go into edit mode, you can select one string of vertices by pressing Alt and click. And if you press Alt and click like this, and if you hold Shift, Alt and click, now you have selected one string of primitives. I'm going to use Ctrl I to invert the selection, X, delete vertices. So now we have a nice shape, one primitive thick, and if we look at the corner in here, you see that it's 441 primitives. So I think that's manageable. Okay, go to File, Export, FBX. I've already exported this one, but make sure you select Selected Object and Mesh, name it, and hit Export. So now we're in Touchdesigner. I'm going to look for my shape. Was it called ball. Yeah. We actually don't need this base one, so delete it anyway. See that it's showing up in here. Just switch off this render flag and it will disappear. If you go inside to the mesh section, middle mouse click, you see that it says 441 primitives. So we go to our blind text generator again. Just use 441 characters. Touchdesigner. Paste. Okay. Use an out and another one. We'll use an in. And you have to update this table because we now have 4 shapes instead of 3. So an extra row, call this one ball, and 0 is probably okay. We can fix that later. We also have to adjust the count of our switch because it had a maximum of 2. Set this one to 3. So now if we connect this one in here, use the switch, you see that it's taking the shape we've just created in Blender. So this is opening up a whole new world of possibilities for creating animation shapes. If you would like to do this with this approach, it's going to be quite complex. You can have a look in your Convert Shop section. It's quite interesting how this shape is going to form in a mathematical way. This is something you can, well, sort of create on your own, but it's getting quite difficult at the normal section. So this whole Blender FBX import approach is a very easy way for creating really complex shapes really fast. But like we said, the downside of this approach is that this FBX has 441 primitives, and that's not going to change. So you can make it shorter. So let's say if you make this one 200, paste it in here. It's still working, but now it's more or less following the path of the shape. So it's not entirely filled. It also gives a very nice effect. This same idea can be done with these other shapes as well. And for that you just put a bunch of spaces behind your sentence and you get a more snake-ish kind of effect. Just with the noise. And the grid, you see that it's creating a line in here. This is still working, yep. But it's a nice shape. You can get creative with your camera. The last approach I'm going to show you in this third part tutorial is also in Blender. Going to delete this one. If you press 7 on your numpad, you go into top view, Shift A, insert a Bezier. Go into edit mode and to this section in here you have this draw pencil, and that lets you basically draw some kind of shape you would like. Could be anything like this. Ctrl I, X, delete this one. So now we have our own customized piece of art. But now we have to fill in this one with primitives in order to let our tool interpret this one as an animation shape. So insert a plane. And we're going to add a modifier to this plane. The first one is an array. So that one is going to count a bunch of planes next to each other. And the curve. I want this plane to follow this curve, so with this eyedropper tool, select that one. I think I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. If you go into wireframe mode, press Z, wireframe. I'm going to increase this one. You see that it's following. It now has 60 faces. Making it smaller. You can crank up the resolution, increase the count 100. I think I'm going to rotate this plane on the X 90 degrees. So now it's sort of standing upwards. Let's see if we can line this up a little bit better. Put this one maybe like this. Okay. And in order to export this one as a primitive mesh, we need to collapse the modifiers. So first apply the array, then the curve. You can delete curve now. So now you have this mesh with, let's see, 102 faces. Okay, select this one, file, export, FBX. Call this one draw shape. Selected objects, mesh, export. So inside of Touchdesigner, just with the ball, just drag it in here, draw shape. There it is. Go inside and out. See 102 primitives. And out again. We need an in. An extra row for the table. 5. Draw. Leave it at 0. Let's see what happens. Hook this one up. Just pick a sentence. 102 characters. Paste it in here. Okay, something is not right. Let's see what that is. Okay, this one needs to be off. Something interesting going on with this snake shape. Let's see what happens. 102. Okay. Something interesting going on here. Somehow messed up these values. This is a test. Somehow overlapping, don't know why. Yeah. You know what? We're just going to see if this shape is working first. Just a range of the switch to 4. Pick our sentence again. More than 2 characters. And there it is. It's sort of mirrored, so we probably have to adjust our switch table to 180. Yeah, that looks better. So this is something customized, created in Blender. This one is also working, but it's not quite as obvious with the grid animation shape. We hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and are looking forward to the upcoming parts of the sentence instancing series. We'll be covering a technique for non-Kepler GPU and Mac OS X users who sometimes stumble upon an error regarding the texture instancing technique, so they can follow along this tutorial series as well. Furthermore, insight on geometry and UV unwrapping, how you can take advantage of creative UV projection, and we'll have a closer look at text and physics. As always, thanks for all the support so far. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date. It provides us a lot of extra motivation. If you find time, have a closer look at our Patreon. Here you can find the work files of our tutorials, 3D models and more insight in our daily businesses. Stay safe, happy texting, and we'll catch up next time.